Hello, my name is Michael, and it is May 11th, 2023, and it's almost 4 p.m. And this is the 13th day on my fast. And on this day, I want to give gratitude to my mother, my chief ancestor, and all the things that she's done for me during the time that she was here on this earth. And as she transitioned into a different plane of existence, she continues to enrich my life with her memory and with all the things that exist in the realm beyond. And so I am grateful to all of my ancestors. I'm grateful for all of them, for the trail that they blazed for me and for my family, and for those who are in my bloodline. I am immensely grateful to my spiritual team and to the pantheon of spirits. And I am most grateful to the primordial prime creator, the creator of essence, experience, being, and consciousness. And so this is the 13th day, and I will conclude this fast later today in a couple of hours. And so one of the things I wanted to reflect on was what I learned during this time of fasting. And so a couple of things that I learned was that I already knew that people could live without food, and it's a different thing when you read about it versus when you are, let's say, experiencing it, right? And so, by the way, I'm out here in the heart of life and experience. And so I want you to understand that the sun is out today. In fact, the sun is right overhead, right here. Plenty of trees, plenty of nature, and a lot of energy and vibrancy that's going on in this part of town, right? So I'm originally from the east side of the town that I'm in now, which some would call the hood, they would call, whatever, but it was a place where, I had friends and associates and people that I interacted with that, helped me develop as a person, as a total person. And so, no, my Europeanized language does not, project some of those upbringings, right? So the street that I lived on, you just walk down the street, you cross the main street, go past the grocery store, and the next step over, we're talking about the projects. And so, you got to remember where you came from, and you got to remember to be grounded in life as you move forward in life. And so I thought about that during this fast, and the reminder of those early experiences in life that I've had here. And so, yeah, you can live without food. In fact, I've learned recently that people can live without food as much as 60 days, maybe a little more than that. I'm not going to try that myself. That's not in the cards for me as far as I know. But as I said in previous videos, my intent was to develop spiritually, to develop my inner being, my inner self, right? And so the thing is, I was able to get more clarity and get more focus. I feel great today, by the way. So I feel absolutely phenomenal. And though I feel great right now, and I feel great the majority of the day, the truth is there is weakness in fasting. There's absolute truth in weakness in fasting. And so that weakness is real, but the more practice you have in fasting, then the easier it gets. This is my 4th or 5th fast in 12 months, and so I didn't have any brain fog during this time. The only real weakness I felt was in my knees, right? But that's a condition others in my family I've noticed have had, so that might point to some other things. One thing about a fast, it will absolutely show you where you're weak in your body, like the real places. that you can reflect on and work on in the future. And so, hunger, yes, I have been hungry. I was hungry an hour ago, but it has passed. That's the thing. If you got the mental will, the fortitude to move beyond those hunger cravings, they pass and they don't last all day, at least in my experience. So one of the main struggles when you're fasting is simply getting up. I don't like to use the word morning, because morning is not actually the best word for that time of the day. But when you first rise after many hours of rest, right? It could be 2 hours, 4 hours, or 8 hours of rest. When you first rise, then you might see some challenges there. But the main thing to do there is just go through a thought process where you're not just laying there, but you're just getting your mind revved up. Rev that mind up, right? And then all you have to do is just slide your feet onto the floor, right? You don't have to get up right away. It's not even suggested that you do that anyway, right? But slide your feet to the floor, sit there, for a minute, 5 minutes max, and then get up, drink you some water, and then go about your normal early day routine. So when we talk about water, I know I said in the previous video that distilled water is the only water I trust. For the most part, that's true. But I was reminded yesterday that not all spring water is bad. Not all spring water is bad. In fact, it is recommended that you consume spring water over distilled water. Again, I'm not going to deal with purified water. That's not something that, I'm down with. But distilled water is okay for me because I add things to it. I put minerals in distilled water. I put herbs. I put fortifications, right? I fortify most of my consumption of distilled water. But quality spring water, where it's bottled at the source and there's no issues with it, go ahead with that. Absolutely fine, right? So water is absolutely vital. And so Sadhguru made a great point about that about 2 days ago in his video, where he was talking about water, sacred water, and his treks through the Himalayas. And there was many days during those treks where he would just drink only water. And most people are like, whoa, man, what are you talking about? And then when I looked at the Ganges River in India, I'm like, that river got electrolytes and minerals in it. So every glass or cup of water you drink out of that river, you're getting a whole electrolytes, vitamin, mineral mix just from dipping out of that river. So it ain't like your normal water that's flowing like in a lake or something like that. Although there are pristine lakes out there that is similarly fortified. But water is extremely important. That's the number one thing in terms of physical elements in the fast, right? Because we're talking about emotional, spiritual, but physical elements, actual water, hydration, just maintain the hydration. Like Sadhguru was mentioning, the earth is 72% water. Your body is 72% water. Your body is almost a mirror image of the earth, right? It's kind of like, man, that's profound. And then when you look at how different Asian cultures make their food and Eastern cultures make their food, they strive for the food to have 70% water and try to minimize dry ingredients. That's a goal of mine. That is 100% what I'm aiming for. I want 70% moisture, water consumption in the food that I go for in the future, right? And so also when you're doing this fast, make sure you're up on your supplements, make sure you're up on your fortifications, make sure that you have the right ingredients in your water. You don't have to do just straight water, and don't do just distilled water, because you're going to flush out more nutrition that you already have in your body, right? So So again, this is not medical advice. This is just my journey. This is not a recommendation for you. These are things that I've done that I found very valuable and productive in having a successful fast. And so when we talk about spirituality, my intent right now is not to go deep with you on that, but to simply say that fasting is a good mechanism for spirituality, because you are sending the distractions away. Distractions, you go over there, and then you can go ahead and deal with more of the things deep inside that ordinarily we're oftentimes too busy to do. You know, things are going on, you know, you're just trying to figure out something, you know, that's deep within you, or some issues. You're trying to replan your life, reset your life, and fasting is an amazing mechanism for doing that, right? And so you get down to, who are you? Who are you? What do you want? And what do you want to bring to society, to life, to existence, right? You can form your own meaning through your own inner introspection. Brother Yosef had a video that was titled Mystical versus Magic. Magic deals with the external. Mysticism deals with the internal, right? And so when you look at that, it's like, yeah, if you want to figure out how to channel that power, all the tools are right here. It's right here. It's right here. It's in here. So you don't necessarily need a magic wand and crystals and singing bowls and rudraksha beads. I still have those things, and I still will partake in those things because they're part of what I am exploring, but they're not at the core foundation of who I am and what I need to be who I want to be in eternity and existence. So as I went through this fasting process, I did my research, and while I was going through this fasting process, I kept up to date on things that were coming out that gave me some food for thought. I like Dr. Bobby Price's video. Dr. Bobby Price wrote a book, Vegecation Over Medication. Absolutely phenomenal book. I would highly recommend you look up Dr. Bobby Price. I particularly like his video on leaky gut and how to deal with leaky gut. Dr. Eric Berg and Dr. Stan Ekberg are two of my favorites, right? And they talk a lot about health and nutrition, and they really deep dive on that. And I love their deep dives, but they also know how to summarize, right? Then I'm also inspired by Yaqui Awaken. That brother's my favorite. Yaqui Awaken, absolutely fantastic. Oh, he has a video on I Never Knew TV that was published, I think yesterday, May 10th, I think. And it's a full-length video, but he breaks a lot of things down that is absolutely outstanding. Did you know that Yaqui Awaken has biochemical and other scientific certifications? And he actually has experience with clinical trials and all of that. So, you know, he is a fully informed individual that has some absolutely fantastic information that I'm going to incorporate. Speaking of which, my diet that I am planning on as I wrap up this discussion is my number one vegetable is going to be avocados. I'm all avocados. I think avocados is, in my opinion, the best fruit. I called it a vegetable until I was corrected by Yaqui. But whatever the case may be, avocado, I had already made up my mind about that days ago. But when I saw Yaqui's video yesterday, that was a confirmation for me. And so I'm also going to add to that, grapefruit is my second one, right? And then berries, and then dates. That's my top tier. Now, the reason why I chose that group is because I'm also looking at economics. What's healthy and what's affordable? So I want the most bang for my buck, and that recommendation list for me is the big bang for the buck. Then the next tier below that, sprouted beans. I'm not cooking beans no more. I'm just gonna sprout them and eat them. Soak the nuts, like Sakura said, just soak them, so that takes care of a lot of issues, because you know there are some varieties of nuts that have poison in them, or you know, irritants that can boost inflammation. So if you soak them, and you soak them for the right length of time, you're good to go. So my second tier is going to be sprouted beans and nuts and roots. When I say roots, I'm talking about actual turmeric, ginger, all that kind of stuff. And then next below that, then I'm looking at, you know, coconut water and protein mix. You know, if you get the right coconut water and you mix it with the right protein mix, like the one I talked about in the previous video, then you got electrolytes plus all the essential nutrients in there. So I can literally just add that into my daily routine and fortify. So I got a lot more to say, but I'm gonna wrap it up right there. And that's my signal, so I'm right on time, because I gotta go pick something up, and so I had a time limit on that. But thank you for being with me on this journey today, and I hope this message finds you well.